Rasmanites. Today I got a contest entry for you for my buddy Clinton, cynical44, as he celebrates 800 subs. Clinton is one of my best and all his friends on here. Probably the most supportive guy, or one of them for sure, in the history of this channel. And I guarantee you that this massive collection you see behind me, well, it's not massive, but the size of it, 90% of it today is directly a result of Clinton's generosity. He sent me 2 or 3 things a year, every year since I've known him. And I'm also representing him today because he made me the Hufflepuff House Quidditch captain. So yeah, he's just an amazingly awesome dude. Incredibly underrated. The fact that he only has 800 subs is a crime. So if you haven't subscribed to him, there is his subscribe button right there on the video, and you can click on it, or you can go to the link down below in the description box. But he's got 3 awesome questions, so this is a video response to his contest today on the Razman's Reality. Alright, bud, so he wanted to know a few things. The first thing he wanted to know is, what is... Oh, I forgot to mention your prize, didn't I? My bad. In the intro. Your prize is Who Framed Roger Rabbit, and I've been dying to get this on Blu-ray ever since it came out for a very specific reason, but I'm going to save that for when I get into the stories, because it's tied in to the stories. So yeah, you got a chance to win the 25th anniversary Who Framed Roger Rabbit on Blu-ray. For more details on that, go to Clinton's channel. Actually, it's in 2 videos. It's in his Blu-ray update, his most recent one, and the contest entry video. So this video will be, of course, a response video to the contest entry video, but I'll also put the link to that Blu-ray, DVD, and Laserdisc update there, so you can hear the story of why he has multiple copies of the Blu-ray. And it made me very grateful that I actually hadn't picked up the Blu-ray yet, because I didn't know about that. So yeah. Your first question was, what is your very first movie-going experience that you can remember? What is your first theatrical experience, or cinematic experience as I prefer to call it? Well, that would be this one right here, Blade Runner. And I saw this way too young. I had to be 5, 6 years old, because it was in the time frame when the director's cut was in the cinema, and my dad took me to see a rated R film. But that film left such an impact on me. I had no idea that a film could be that layered, because my only experience to that point as far as science fiction was Star Trek. And don't get me wrong, I love Star Trek, but Star Trek, anyone that's seen it, any of the series, knows that it's incredibly formatted, and it's a tremendous format, but you get the same thing pretty much every single episode, and it's very little as far as depth and layers go. And Blade Runner was the first thing I ever saw that had so many layers to it, where you think it's about one thing, then you think it's about something else, and by the time it ends, it's completely about something else entirely. So it had those 3 distinct layers to it, and it left such a unique impact on me, and that is also the answer of what made me a film buff, like what got me into movies. So the 2 answers are tied together. Blade Runner is directly responsible for the cinephile that you see before you today. And of course there are other movies that really got it over the top, like Back to the Future and E.T., which I've talked about before, and also Field of Dreams, which I've talked about before, but Blade Runner was where it all started. And the second thing you wanted to know is what made you, or the third thing really, because I combined two of the questions. You wanted to know what it was that made you an obsessed collector. Like, what was that point where you sort of turned that corner and made yourself... Actually, I think I'm mixing up questions, because there was a third question which I just remembered, but I'm gonna get all this out, and Clinton will probably be able to figure out what it is I'm saying to him, but I'm answering all three of his questions, and for details on that, like I said, just watch the conscious entry video. And if you do a video response like this, by the way, I forgot to mention, you get 8 entries because it's 800 subs. But anyway, you were asking about what it is that made you an obsessed collector. And for me, that film was Who Framed Roger Rabbit. Who Framed Roger Rabbit was one of the ones that had just a lasting impact on me, because I was kind of a unique person, at least in terms of the people that I grew up with, and the fact that I didn't like just one type of cartoons growing up. I liked Warner Brothers, I liked Disney, I liked Ninja Turtles, I liked every piece of cartoon lore that you could think of. And the idea that Who Framed Roger Rabbit was a film, the first one ever, and still, in my opinion, other than Space Jam, pretty much the only one you've seen with it. But Space Jam was limited to just Looney Tunes. I had the live action crossover. But with Who Framed Roger Rabbit, you had every major cartoon character you could ever think of that was existing back in that time period in the 80s and 90s. And so you had Disney together, you had Looney Tunes together. Basically, if you were ever printed as a cartoon in your lifetime, you were in Who Framed Roger Rabbit. And then you had the live action aspects to it, and then you had freaking Christopher Lloyd, Doc himself, as Judge Doom. I mean, this movie was just, and still is, cinematic perfection. And I remember just begging and begging and begging for my mom to take me to see this, and this was a rare case for her because she hates crowds. A rare case from my childhood where I actually got to see a film on opening day, and I became so obsessed with the character of Roger as a whole that I have in my possession something that I cannot show you because it's physically inaccessible at this point, but the thing that I have in my possession, which hopefully I can find an overlay picture of, is a full-size stuffed Roger Rabbit. And I went out to the old KB Toys, for those of you that are old enough to remember that. I went out to the old KB Toys and picked up Roger the day of the film release after seeing the film. And I've held on to him ever since. And Roger was the second VHS I ever owned. And the first VHS I ever owned will be an answer to is actually, I got two things on the same day, and that's the answer to the third question about earliest memories of things that you remember owning as a collector. So, yeah, Roger was the second thing I ever owned, and as much as I love the film, and as much as it's arguably, you know, if I made a list of just not favorite films in general, Roger Rabbit would be maybe 5 or 6 on that list, and it's definitely my #1 most wished for Blu-ray right now out of anything that's out on the market right now. I've been dying to get it. But as far as overall favorites, it's probably like 5 or 6. But it definitely is my #1 childhood film. And it's ironic that I say that because of the fact that it was one of those films that unfortunately I never picked up on DVD. I only had it on VHS. So I kept holding out. Like, I'd see the DVD for dirt cheap online, but I kept holding out. I said no, because once Blu-ray happened, I'm like, they're gonna release it on Blu-ray, and now it's here. So if I can win this from a great friend of mine, all the better. Sucks that I'm not gonna get the slipcover, but I'm not gonna be that fussed over it because it's a film that I absolutely love. But yeah, Roger is one of my all-time favorite films, and as such, it was the third thing I ever owned. And I'm jumping all over the place here, but just to get back to my original story about getting the stuffed animal and what sort of cued Roger Rabbit to that point of me becoming an obsessed collector, is that I went and got that stuffed animal. I got a keychain, which I no longer have, and I think I still have them, but my mom picked up 3 of those ginormous character glasses that are like this big, and I have 2 or 3 of those that are Roger Rabbit related. So if I still have them, I will try and do an addendum to the end of this video where I can show you one, but if I don't, I'll try to find those and overlay as well. But yeah, Roger Rabbit was an obsession, and that's when I really started with the movie memorabilia, and it's been going on ever since. So the first thing I remember owning on VHS was also Blade Runner. I own that very director's cut edition on Blu-ray of Blade Runner that I talked about earlier. It was the first thing that I ever got on VHS back when VHS actually became available for home resale. And on the same day I got an episode collection, or it might even been the whole first season. I can't remember exactly how it was done back then, but I ended up getting the whole series this way. But Star Trek The Next Generation, which is why the Blu-ray gifts from Scott Show Pilgrim 1138 are so important to me, because I'm obsessed with Star Trek The Next Generation. So those were the first 2 things I ever owned, Blade Runner and Star Trek The Next Generation, on the same day. And then a week later, as I previously mentioned, I got Who Framed Roger Rabbit. So I think that covers everything. You wanted to know the thing that made you an obsessed collector, the first thing you ever owned, and what turned a corner for you and made you a cinephile. So I think that covers everything. If I forgot something, I apologize, but I blabbed on way too long for this video because I was having trouble remembering my story points because I was getting confused by the amount of questions. So yeah, definitely go and check out Quentin. Like I said, he's amazing, and thank you for this great contest, buddy, and such an amazing prize. I really hope I get my hands on the Roger Rabbit Blue. Don't forget to check out the official sponsors of this program and channel, Handi Enterprises Inc., your assistive technology specialist. All company contact information is always down below in the description box. Full screen referral link down below in the description box. All my social media, all that good stuff. This is reality according to the Razman, and Razman style is not just a catchphrase, but a way of life.